Sorry, I'm getting distracted by Zoom. Deb's recording me now. I also will thank Maureen for helping us, and then I thought her presence and her wisdom and experience has helped this committee greatly. So all of that I truly appreciate, and thanks to the board members you see today who also have given all of their time voluntarily as well. So
thank you. Thank you, Nina. Okay, so we're back into the regular agenda. And our agenda item today is suspension of the Sunday open hours. And Deb, would you like to present that for us?
Before that, I'm just going to have a little point of order to help you out. So Nina mentioned the motion you would like to take as a result of executive session, but there was not actually a motion, a second, and a vote. So if you would do that. So
I am so sorry. I apologize.
Okay. She
thank you.
used the language.
Can we have a motion to adopt Nina's proposal? Is that correct way of saying it?
So the motion would be to direct staff to take the action discussed in executive session. So Dale, making that motion.
Yeah.
To pursue, thank you. To pursue the actions discussed in executive session. Can we have a motion, please?
Dale did move it.
I'm sorry, there was too much going on. A second?
Yes, second.
Second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, so motion has passed. Thank you very much for the help there. All right, now we're ready to have Deb talk to us about suspending Sunday open hours to accommodate the shortage of staff.
This would be my least favorite topic, possibly, having to discuss the need to temporarily suspend hours on Sunday. Just a little reminder. So currently Sunday is curbside only. So that means people can come in, pick up the materials they have on hold, but they're not able to use either the main wing or the youth wing. So they're not able to get on computers. They're not able to browse for books. They're not able to sit around and read newspapers, do research or anything else. The only thing they can do on Sundays from 1 to 5 is come in, pick up the materials that they already had on hold, and then leave. And I've mentioned the number of vacancies that we're currently facing, and not unlike multiple employers in our county, hiring is difficult right now. Two of the most recent departures of staff from the adult services team are both people who work on Sundays. So we're suddenly going to have a pretty, our Sunday crew is going to be halved. So sitting with those departures, one of them simply transitioning to a different department, but now they're not available to work the desk on Sunday. The other person is leaving the library altogether. As I've mentioned, we're sitting on several vacancies. We're sitting on several vacancies in youth services that we deliberately didn't fill during the pandemic because it wasn't needed for staffing. And the intent always was, as services opened up, that we would begin advertising and filling those positions. We've been doing that advertising. We've been doing that interviewing, and we're bumping up some of the same things that every employer in Jackson is facing. Either it's a pay issue or it's a housing issue, or, I mean, it's some combination of all of those particular factors. We thought we had a good candidate for youth services manager. They turned the position down because of housing. We thought we had some good candidates for the youth services library assistants. And again, we're being turned down for a variety of reasons. So, I mean, the bottom line is we're short-staffed. And we feel like suspending the hours on Sunday we have to choose between a bunch of not so favorable things. It's the least of the not so favorable things that we have to do. There's the least amount of impact to patrons. As I mentioned in there, I think as we begin to hopefully, fingers crossed, get those positions filled, I think our preference would be to reinstitute the Saturday morning hours first, because that's actually a place that's been more heavily used than the Sunday afternoon hours. But we're not there yet. First, we have to get some bodies in the building. And I don't mean to minimize, who the people are that we need to fill this, but we do need more people.
Deb, as I recall, before COVID, BC, the library was open on Sundays 1 to 5, limited hours anyway, wasn't it?
That's correct. It's
Even
always
in the
been
best of
limited
times,
hours.
it was limited.
It's always been limited hours on Sundays. So
Yeah.
it's usually been some sort of either 1 to 5 or 12 to 5 over time. And Saturdays have been, I think, a little bit back and forth, but typically we've had some Saturday morning hours for folks.
Is there any other discussion?
Deb, my only, I'm supportive of this. I just wonder, are we supposed, as someone who sometimes falls short on process, is this an area where we should be allowing the public to comment for even maybe perhaps today or in another format before we move forward on this at a regular meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're certainly welcome if you choose to take some public comment on the issue today, you certainly could. I think the thing you're referring to is the administrative process as described in statute. But this is, in my mind, this is a temporary suspension of hours. This is not a permanent change to the hours of the library. So hopefully we don't have to get to the point of this being a permanent change. But if the library does get to that point, then we would need to go through the 45-day public comment period, public hearing and all of that. Does that make sense? So this is not a permanent change. This is a temporary suspension. The hope is that we get the people we need and we're able to reinstitute hours.
Deb, how long do you think the temporary suspension will last?
I would hope no more than 2 months. And I just sit there and look at a timeline of advertising for 2 weeks, spending 2 weeks in the interview, reference checking, job offer. Now that person needs to give 2 weeks notice and now we have to train them. So, I mean, that just kind of looks like a 2-month window to get somebody reasonably up to speed so that they're providing a level of professional service that we expect.
May I suggest then that we add that to the language that this is to be re-looked at again in 2 months? Because I think anything more than 2 months starts to seem less temporary and more permanent.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion to make sure that we go back and look at it.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Deb, if I could just, not now, but maybe for our next meeting, if I could just ask you to give us a little mini report all on one page in terms of where we are short staffed, the job descriptions, how many actual people. And I know all this, I have all this information, but I have heard over time, I have heard different numbers. I know there have been some changes because of COVID in terms of a pause type thing. So maybe you could even do a first tier and a second tier, in terms of that pause thing, and get this all on one page for us or whatever you think. But kind of do a short course so that it's a little more clear. Because as I look back through my notes, I have different numbers. I have, different conversations about it at different times. I just think this is not anything I think any of us wants to do, but I think in the interest of clarity, it's probably a good time to get a little report like that from you, if you wouldn't mind.
I would think that would be beneficial to a new director too, so.
Right, and it's easier, I mean, when we try to do the genealogical, so to speak, tracing of
Right.
which position, which vacancy. We started to get a little nuts about that as we talked about it in management team. But it's pretty easy to just sit there and go, here's how many, full-time equivalents we expected to have. Here's where we're, really missing the people, and where do we really need them, right?
And what we might, anticipate in terms of, we are in normal green. We're hoping it's going to hold. We're hoping we're going to see more attendance. What we, like I say, kind of a second tier of hopefulness for, we're going to need more people, and what would that look like, And I'm not saying this is written in stone or anything. It's really more for informational purposes. Obviously, it can change, but I just think there's been so much discussion and change about it that it would be good to get, for me anyway, I could be a little more organized. So I would appreciate the help.
Sure. I mean, that's pretty easy to do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, further discussion? Are we ready to have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Grace, if you're ready.
Yes, please.
I would move that we approve the director's request for a temporary suspension of public hours on Sundays because of reduced staff, to be reviewed in 2 months.
Okay, thank you.
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All are in favor, so the motion passes. I believe that's all that's on our agenda today. Is that correct, Deb? I'm going by what I saw last. Okay. So could we have a motion to adjourn the meeting for today?
I'll move that.
I'll
Second.
second. Grace seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, so the motion passes. We are adjourned at 10:49.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.